What is up, everybody? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we are finishing our top 10 party games. But as I said, it's actually a top 40, but I'm just doing different parts with 10 different games that I really love. Party games are the best because they involve a lot of people, and they're very easy to play. Typically, it doesn't take a lot of explanation. You can kind of jump right into them. Quick explanation, lots of people playing, and they're very short. They're not like long games, and they're not super complicated. So with that said, don't forget, as always, like, comment, subscribe on these videos, and check out our memberships, man. I would love to have more people become members. The more people we have as members, the more I'm able to do with the channel. So support the channel with your finances, man. That'd be awesome. I would really appreciate that. So, but it's not necessary. The content's always free. So with that said, let's get into these party games. Okay, my eyes crazy. I can't see nothing. And I have a, like, One Piece Luffy bathrobe, but it is super hot, so I'm gonna try to get through this list as quick as possible. So this is gonna be like my 30 through 21, and so let's start it off with Hand-to-Hand Wombat. I actually got a chance to play this game, which I'm gonna move over to the side over here. Actually got a chance to play this game just not too long ago. It's really good with kids, but it's really fun with adults. So basically, there's like these 3 little poles inside of the box. You use the box to play in. You got 3 little poles set up, and then you got to build up these ziggurats that have these little square blocks. And it looks like a kid's toy. That's why kids really like it. They like to just play with it and put it together. But the idea is that you're supposed to stack up all the blocks as a ziggurat with like the different levels and the different steps. And then while you're doing that, you're blindfolded. So you're not blindfolded, but you have your eyes closed, and you're trying to do this without seeing what you're doing. Everybody's working together to accomplish the task, but there's one traitor who's taking them apart, and you have to try to figure out who that traitor is. The goal of the game is to just get 3 ziggurats stacked up perfectly and or catch the bad wombat. But it's really funny because just smacking each other's hands. It's a really fun game, and I really enjoy it. Number 29 is a game called Kites. This is the most anxiety-inducing game I have ever played, and that's because in Kites, you have these cool little timers, and the way that the game works is that you play a card, and when you play a card, depending what color the kite is on the card, lets you flip over that sand timer. And so what you're trying to do is just get rid of all the cards that are in the deck, and so every turn you play a card and draw a card, and then you just keep doing that until you get rid of all the cards in the draw pile, and you're doing this cooperatively. But it's frantic because the timers are running out of sand, and if a timer runs out, it means that that kite fell to the floor and your kite show is over. And so the whole point of the game is just trying to stack them up. Somebody needs to do red, somebody needs to do red, and you need to communicate. And they have some fun little cards that you know are put in there to kind of make it more difficult. Like whenever like a plane passes by, you can't communicate because the plane is so loud, so it's like you're not allowed to talk, so you're like, you know, trying to flip timers and stuff. It's really fun. If you have really bad anxiety or you get anxiety from like frantic, hectic things, don't play this game. It's not for you. But it's very, very fun. Next game on my list is Chicken. This is actually a newer game to me, and it's a really fun game where you just roll 4 dice, and these dice, I think you roll 4. I think it's 4, yeah. And there's 4 dice. There's 12 dice in total, but the rest of them are kind of like in the coop. And so you roll these dice, and if you get chickens, those count as points. If you get foxes, those are like strikes, and 3 strikes, you're out. And so if you roll 3 foxes, you lose. And so the hope, or you lose your turn and you have to pass the dice to the next player. There's also eggs on the dice, and every time you roll an egg, you hatch a chicken from the coop. So that chicken, that new dice comes in, and then you have to roll those dice together. And the more dice you roll, the more likely you are going to get more chickens, more points. The first person to 25 points wins, and you're going up this little track that shows you how many points you have. It's just a fun little quick game, and it's just fun to roll all of those dice and to roll those chickens. And sometimes you roll the foxes, and sometimes it's like, I'm going to stop here. Like, you don't want to push your luck. There's that push your luck element. And so you take like literally like 12 dice and just hand them over to the next player. The next player has to roll them and chucks them. And it's really, really fun. I really like Chicken. You guys should give it a try. Next game is Codenames. If you've ever played Codenames, my favorite Codenames is Codenames Duet. I like playing that that cooperative version of the game, but there's a competitive version of the game which can play up to like 8 people. I don't know how good it is with like 8 because everybody's just kind of talking and having conversations about it. I think it's a little group dependent depending on the group that you're playing with, but it's still a really, really fun game. If you've never played Codenames, you basically have a whole entire 5x5 grid of words, and you're trying to help the people on the other side guess the word. And in order to do that, you're giving out these clues and stuff like that. And so you're sitting across from like your partner or whatever. And so it's really, really fun because there's certain clues that are bad and you don't want them to guess those clues. And sometimes you give them a clue and they guess the color for like another player. It's super fun, man. If you never played Codenames, Codenames is awesome. I really like it. One of my favorite party games. The next game on my list is So Clover. So Clover is made by the same people who made Just One, and So Clover is really, really fun. Like, but it's a lot more thinky than Just One is. Just One is a little bit more easy to play. This one you can only play it with 4, so the player count is kind of. I think actually no, I think you can play it with 6. But basically you have to write. You have these little squares and you put them on your Clover. You have this little Clover thing, and you have 4 squares that you put on there, and those 4 squares, when you line them up, it's going to have 2 words on it, and those 2 words will come up with some kind of thing. So for example, it might say brown and log, and then so you write poop at the top because a brown log is poop. Sorry for the poop joke, but that's just the first thing that came to mind. And so like if it says brown log, you're going to write poop in the Clover, but then you take all the squares off and then you add 1 to that and you mix them up, put them down on the table, and then everybody has to figure out where the squares go. So it's really, really fun, super thinky, super fun to do. One of the things that I find is that people oftentimes have trouble coming up with like the words, and they're just like, man, can I just like switch these around? I'm like, yeah, go ahead, just to make it a little easier for some people. But that's So Clover. Next one on my list is For Sale. If you've never played For Sale is an auction game, but it's a really, really fun one. So the way that it works is that there's these properties that go up. You start off with a little bit of money, and there's these cards that are properties, and they're numbered like 1 through 30. 30 is the most powerful one, and so you want to get, the higher the number, the better it is. And so you're auctioning these properties off to people, and people are buying the properties. Once you run out of money, you're done and you can't get any more. But yeah, so and anybody who gets these properties, you're going to take those properties later, and once all the properties have been handed out to everybody, you go into the second phase of the game, where now instead of property cards coming out, there's going to be money cards. So it'd be like 15,000, 10,000, 5,000, 4,000. And so then what you're going to do is you're going to use those property cards that have the numbers on them, and you're going to slap them down at the same time. And it's kind of like war style, like whoever has the highest number wins. And so you rank them in order. So it's like I had the 30, you had the 27. So I take the 12,000 or the 15,000, you take the 10,000, and then he'll take the 4 and he'll take the 1. And so you just keep playing war with it afterwards. It's such a fun game. It's not complicated or hard to play. It's very easy. I love For Sale. Very, very good game. Next one on my list is No Thanks. No Thanks is a really cool game where you're kind of bidding as well on like these numbered cards, but the goal of the cards is that all the numbers on the cards, you're going to add them up, and that's going to be your final score, and whoever has the lowest total wins. But the catch is that when you get cards, if you can get cards in numerical order, so if I got like a 30 and then afterwards I got the 29, I could put the 29 on top of the 30 in front of me, and now that cancels everything under it out. So that 29 will be the lowest number in that consecutive order, so it'll cancel out the 30. And then after that, what I can do is I can add the 31, the 32, the 33, the 34, and then all of a sudden, because they're all in sequential order, that stack only counts as 29. But if you have a whole bunch of random numbers, you're going to add them all together. But if you can manage to get a good streak, it'll just be whatever the lowest number is in that streak, which is really cool. And I love the concept of this game. But some of my friends figured out how to break the game, so it's not as fun for me. That's why it's a little lower on my list, because I really loved it. But then some of my friends figured out some strategies that just work every single time.
They've done studies, 60% of the time it works every time.
Next up on my list is Picto Mania. Picto Mania was such a cool game, and pardon me because like it's like still kind of blurry in my mind as I was recording this. I sat down and I totally forgot to even think about what the game was about, but I know that it's a drawing game, but it's a really, really involved drawing game. Like, it's not a simple drawing game. But in this game, there's a lot going on, but the way that it works is like you're gonna draw something and you have like a limited amount of time, and then whoever finishes their drawing first, they can put their things down and they can try to already start guessing what other people have drawn. And if you guess correctly, and there's like a list of a whole bunch of words, and it's like there's like 5 rows of like 5 words. So it's like 25 words in total on these little cards that are standing up. And so then all of the words that are in play, somebody has those words. And so it's like, there's 25 words here. This person drew, it looks like a crocodile, and I'm looking, I don't see the word crocodile. Maybe it's alligator, it's the word alligator. No, maybe it's, oh no, the dinosaur is there. So you say dinosaur, and so you go dinosaur. And you guess what it is, and if you're the first person to get it right, you'll get the most points, but if you're the last person. But the cool part is, if you finish your drawing early, you can start already guessing on what everybody else's stuff is, and it gives you kind of a leg up. But if you're drawing and you rushed it and it's really bad, and nobody guesses your drawing correctly, you're actually going to lose points. You actually want people to be able to guess what you drew properly. And so there's a lot to it. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's kind of the idea, the basic gist of the game. It's Picto Mania. It's really fun. Next game on my list, Rhino Hero. Rhino Hero, I wish it was a little higher on the list because I really do love this game, but there's just so many great party games. But Rhino Hero is a game where you start off with a stack of cards that are like little walls, and these cards are all kind of bent in half, so they make like little corners, and all you have to do is you have to put the 2 walls up to make like a 4-sided figure, and then you put a roof from your hand. So you have a hand of like cards, and each of those cards is a roof, and so you're going to put a roof, and some of the roofs have abilities that make you skip you the next player, or kind of like Uno, or make the next player draw more cards. The whole point is to get rid of all the roofs in your hand. And so on your turn though, you have to do a little bit of a dexterity where you have to stack up these 2, maybe 1 or 3 wall pieces. And then if there's a rhino on the last roof that was placed, you have to take this little rhino figure and you have to try to squeeze him into that spot and put your roof on top. And you're stacking up this gigantic tower of cards, and eventually this thing is like gonna fall. And so it is just so much fun. Kind of reminds me of like Jenga, but like you're building up instead of, no, Jenga you're building up. So it's like Jenga, but with cards. It's a really fun game. Rhino Hero is fantastic, and I think they have like a deluxe copy that's like really big and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, but I love Rhino Hero. And last but not least, my number 21 on the list is a game called Wavelength. Wavelength is such an interesting game. It's so hard to describe, but the basic gist of the game is that there's this little meter that you have to switch, and it has like a hand that kind of goes from left to right, and what you do is you spin the dial, and when you spin the dial it changes the background, like there's like a little point thing on there. And so once you finish spinning it, you can open up the window to see where the point values are. So there might be far to the right, maybe far to the left, right in the middle, maybe a little bit right here. Your goal is to try to get the most points. And so what it's going to do is you're going to close that little window, and you're going to have a card that says like hot or cold. And so hot or cold is going to go like the hot is on this side, cold is on this side. All the way to this side is going to be hot. All the way to this side is going to be cold. So it's like, this is like sub-zero cold. And so you have to think of something, because it's like, man, it's sort of in the middle, but leaning hot. So it's like, so what's hot, but not like scalding hot? Something that's hot, but not that hot. And you might say, you know what? Water bottle. And some people might be like, okay, water bottle. Man, water bottle. It's like, water bottles aren't boiling and they're not frozen. So a water bottle, well, you like it more on the cool side, but then it's like more on the hot side, and it's like, man, I like room temperature water. I shouldn't have said that. And like, you can't say nothing now, so you kind of just ruined it. And so they're gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna be cold, but not that cold. And then whenever they see that it's on the warm side, they're gonna be like, water bottles are not warm. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's just that I like room temperature water. I would have thought y'all knew that, but dang, man, I messed it up. That was my fault. I gave a bad clue. That's how the game is. It's just fun, and it's so much fun to see people like overthink and rethink and get it right, and then all of a sudden change their answer to the wrong answer. It's like, Wavelength is phenomenal, man. It's such a fun game. I've actually been wanting to play it on stream with people, because I thought that would be really fun to get a whole bunch of like board game creators and just play Wavelength on screen. That would be absolutely hilarious. I want to figure out a way to do that, but it's pretty cool, man. I'm really excited, and I would love to get something like that going. But that's it for my 10 today. These are all really great games. You can't go wrong with either of them. So go ahead and give them a try, guys. And if you have any comments, or not comments, but questions about any of these games, let me know in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer your comments. That's one thing that I strive for on this channel, is always engaging the community in any way that I can. So tell me in the comment section, what are your favorite party games? And also, if you have any questions about these party games, let me know. I also could probably put some links out there or something so that way you guys can find these games. You can find them all on Amazon. They're really easy to find. So, by the way, I hope you guys like the new setup. I got, this is my game room. So I'm officially like out of my space that I was in before. And so now I'm in my new game room. So forgive the barrenness of everything. I still got to put like a decoration on this wall over here. And I was thinking about doing like some of those like clouds up on the roof and stuff like that. I want to make this a really cool streaming room and then maybe put some board games in the back. But yeah, this is kind of where I am right now, and I'm playing some video games here, and my wife has her set up over here, so it's pretty cool, man. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, in the comment section, talk to me so I can talk to you back. Love you guys. Have a good one. Peace out.